Right guys, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this gravity defying standing dinosaur cake. So the first thing we're going to look at is the structure. So I'm using these threaded rods. I've used 10mm threaded rods. I put these boards at the bottom to act as feet because I've got threaded rods going through the board at the bottom, in the middle and at the top, and these are held by 10mm nuts and some 10mm washers. Once the structure's all done, I'm going to cover that all in chocolate ganache and then wrap it with tin foil to make it food safe. Then I'm mixing some Rice Krispie treats. I'm going to use these for the feet and for the tail of my dinosaur. So I'm just squashing them onto the feet and on the tail. A cone shape for the tail, and then basically a cone shape for the feet as well, just fatter towards the board and then going thin towards the base. Now for my cake, I'm going to start stacking it on. So I'm cutting out a semicircle for the back so it fits around that tail, and then I'm basically just going to cut all the cake to wedge it in all of the gaps and use chocolate ganache to stick that all together. Obviously the amount of cake you use depends on the size of the dinosaur that you want to do. I was using 8-inch rounds for this cake. And I'm just going to pop all the cake on the top here to make the head. Now I'm going to start to carve away. I want a hump in the back, and then basically that is all I need in terms of the shape. I'm going to mix up my sugar paste. I'm just using Spectrum Flow, water-based yellow and water-based green, party green to make this nice lime green sugar paste. And then I'm just going to roll it all out into thin sheets, and then bit by bit I'm going to stick it to the cake. I've steamed my cake with a PME steamer, and this will act as a sort of glue as it wets the chocolate and makes it tacky, so the sugar paste will stick. I'm going to cover this all in pieces. Obviously the less pieces you do, the easier it'll be, but we're going to texture the dinosaur so it doesn't really matter. Don't worry about being too perfect with the sugar paste, because you can just pop it on, blend it all together by smoothing it into the other bits, and then like I say, we're going to texture it, which is going to cover up any sort of little problems. I'm just going to use my finger with my gloves on to add the details with the eye holes and the mouth, but you can use a tool to do this. Just smoothing the sugar paste down as much as possible, and this is just showing you how it looks messy, but if you just smooth it in, take your time, it'll all come together in the end before we texture it, and that'll cover up everything. To texture it, I'm just using up some scrunched up paper towels. Tin foil is also really good for this texture technique. You just scrunch up some tin foil and press it all over the cake. This will help hide any small little areas where you haven't blended it properly or where the sugar paste has left a seam. I'm now going to move on to the legs. Just wrap some sugar paste around those legs, blend it in again, and then texture it like I did with the rest of the body. I want to add a little bit more sugar paste towards the top. This is going to give some shape to those legs, and again just texture it to blend. Now I'm going to use a straw. This is a rather big straw, and in sporadic areas I'm just going to press it to make these little circle indents. Now I want to add some more definition to the face. I'm just rolling out little sausages of sugar paste and just popping an arc over each eye and blending it in at the bottom, and an arc over each nostril that I pressed in with my thumb and blending them in towards the bottom as well. Now for the feet, I'm just using sugar paste, so I'm just doing the same as the top of the legs by blending in the sugar paste and then shaping it when it's on. I'm just using a knife to cut 3 lines, which is going to make the toes, then round them off, and then use my tools to just shape the feet, arcing in at the middle and then pressing in with my thumb just to make these areas where the toes are going to go. For the arms, it's just a sausage of sugar paste rolled into a slight cone at one end and then just press down on that end to make the little hands, and you can just add 3 little lines, we'll make the fingers on that hand. Now moving on to the airbrushing. So I'm using Spectrum Flow green, Spectrum Flow yellow, and then some Spectrum Flow black into that cup in areas where I want to go darker, which is like under the jawline, in the eye sockets, under the arms, just there behind the back of the neck, around the legs. This shadowing will just give some more depth to the piece. But because we've coloured the sugar paste, we don't want to go too much on this. I'm going in at the end there, just adding just yellow, just to brighten the whole thing up, before moving on to painting on some green. To paint on this green, I was actually using Spectrum Flow matte green, and I'm just painting these lines all from the top of the head, across the spine of the body to the tip of the tail. If you unscrew the end of the airbrush, you get this little flicker effect, which I've used on a lot of my videos, and this can just add a little bit more texture as well. I've just got green in the cup here for this, just to add a bit of a speckle over the whole body. Now I'm painting inside the mouth, just using Spectrum Flow red matte, and then just made some little cones of white sugar paste for the teeth. Let them dry for a bit. White sugar paste in for the eyes, just wanting that to be smooth, rounded towards the edges so it really pops. Then once the teeth are in, I'm just going to use some blue sugar paste, some black sugar paste, and a little bit of white sugar paste for a highlight, just blobbing these on and smoothing them out so I'm happy with the shape. There's the little white highlight, that just makes the whole eye pop. Then I'm using these tiny little black sausages of sugar paste just to add some outlines to the eyes. You could paint these, but I chose to use sugar paste this time. And then finally some black sugar paste eyebrows just above each eye. And that's it, guys. I've put some chocolate on the board to look like mud, and how cool is that? This cartoon T-Rex dinosaur gravity defying cake.